6 things that your skincare big sister wishes you knew. Hi! I think we've met before, but if we haven't, my name's Cassandra and I am your skincare big sister. I have been there and I lived the majority of my adolescent life judging myself in the mirror. I had severe chronic cystic acne and other kids would tease me for it. But everything that was said in, the locker room or in the hallways, it would reverberate in my head and it would live with me through every day. And throughout all of middle school and high school, I struggled so much with my appearance, with my self-love, with my self-worth and my value. And really finding who I was or what I was passionate about, or allowing myself to be a person as opposed to just a shell with insecurities all over the inside. One of the worst points was a kid who told me that it was a good thing that my grandfather was dying so that my grandfather would never have to look at me again. And that sucked. That was really, really hard for me on so many levels, and that was just one of the 100 things that would happen to me, on a regular basis. I had to find ways to deal with it, and I coped in a lot of negative ways. I'm grateful that I never got into substances, but I definitely tried to fill the void through things like shopping, through things like enhancing my self-appearance, through makeup, through hurting myself in other ways to compensate on something that felt real as opposed to all of the chaos that was going on inside of my head. And although I had some really horrific experiences, the most important thing is that I got help. And I learned about makeup. It was more of a chore, or it was something that I used to cover my skin. It was like a shield, right? It kept the horrible people and their comments out, and it kept me safe. But it was also kind of like a wall, or like think of like a wall. Think of like, the outside of a castle that kind of locked me in. It has been a journey for sure. This is my face currently. I've become a medical esthetician since then, and I've learned to understand and embrace my skin. I've studied skincare for the past 10 years, and as horrible as my acne was, I'm grateful in a weird way that it happened. Because if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't have gotten passionate about skincare. If I didn't see 24 dermatologists who couldn't help me, I wouldn't have started to ask other questions like, is my diet or stress related? Or my hormones? If I didn't get passionate about skincare, I wouldn't be here. And I've made a promise to share content that is entertaining, educational, and does everything in my power to inspire. And that's why I, as a skincare big sister, today want to talk to every beautiful butterfly in this community about the things that I wish my 16-year-old self could know. As your skincare big sister, if I am honored enough that you can call me that, these are the things that I wish you would know. These are the things that I wish every acne sufferer, every skincare connoisseur, or even those who are just curious about skincare would know. And let's start off with ingredients. The first thing is that you need to turn and learn those ingredients lists and just start to try to understand them. Ingredients lists are amazing. They can seem overwhelming and confusing at first, but we often feel so powerless over our skincare. Most of us get into skincare because we're trying to deal with an insecurity or something we want to change and we don't know where to start. And when you start to actually look at research, look at trusted sources, dermatologists, experts in the field, actual data that shows how these products work, you can start to recognize which products have ingredients that will work for your skin condition or that are backed up to factually do so. You can start to check ingredients and see which ones were actually good for you, and when they pop up in other products that work for you, maybe there's something related there. When you start to learn and get comfortable with your ingredients, skincare is no longer overwhelming. It's not something that controls you. You are now an active choice maker in that decision process of choosing what goes onto your skin, instead of just listening to advertisements from beauty companies that, yes, stay in business because you have insecurities. In healthcare, it's so important that patients have a right to know what their options are and make decisions that are best for them. And you, as someone who is exploring skincare, are doing that for your hygiene routine, but also for a self-care routine. And trying to understand those ingredients, even just a little bit, is a way that you are able to be an active part of that decision-making process. Now, turning and learning, this number 1 also plays into number 2, the second thing that your skincare big sis needs you to know, and it's the fact that the ingredients won't tell you everything. Just by reading an ingredients list, you cannot understand how a skincare product will work, especially in the context of an entire skincare skincare routine. You know, a skincare product is not all of the different ingredients added up together. Think of it like a cake, right? If I take flour, water, some vegan eggs, vanilla powder, frosting, and I mix it together in a bowl, I'm not gonna get a cake, I'm gonna get a sludgy mess. It's gonna be disgusting. But if I take those ingredients, if I mix the wet ones in together first, then some of the dry ones, then mix them together, fold them together, put them in the oven, bake them, then frost them and decorate them, I can make a great cake. But just because the ingredients are the same doesn't mean they're going to be the same thing. It's the same with skincare ingredients. If you've worked in cosmetic chemistry, or if you trust someone who has worked in cosmetic chemistry, then you can have a better understanding, and ingredients can definitely steer you to products that you might like better or away from products that might have something that irritates your skin. But trying to judge a product just on ingredients is never going to be foolproof. And that's why ingredients are a guide, but they are not the end-all be-all. And it does make sense for you to try things, to swatch things, to request samples, so that you can actually try products and see what's right for you. Because skincare needs to be enjoyable in order for you to use it, in order for it to work. And that's what else we have to talk about, is the third thing that your skincare big sister needs you to know. Patience is a virtue. Your skin on average takes 28 days to renew. Most people are not familiar with the beautiful structure that is your skin, the different layers of it, from the stratum basale all the way up to the stratum corneum. And your skin is part of a beautiful biological process that keeps you safe. Your skin is meant to keep things out, so it doesn't like products to penetrate it. And when you start to put products on, you have to give them time to work. I struggle with this as well, even to this day. Novelty is so fun, there's so many products. We want to have fun with our routines and trying new things. However, if you're really looking for results, you need to really give your skin time to absorb products and to make those changes. Good things happen over time. Think like a scientist. If you have a hypothesis and you want to test it, but you're changing a bunch of different variables, or you're changing a bunch of different things in your experiment, you're not going to know what caused your outcome to happen. Which one of the things that you changed led to that outcome? Same with your skincare. If you're trying a new product every single week, which one is actually giving you the glowing skin? Which one is actually helping with your acne? Or which one is actually causing you to break out? If you isolate those variables, if you switch out one thing at a time, you can actually see which ones are going to work for you in the long run. And again, if you love novelty, if you don't have sensitive skin, if you're not trying to treat something urgently and you just want to have fun, more power to you. I am not shaming you for enjoying the process of playing with skincare or trying new things. However, skin minimalism or skinimalism is important in the sense that, especially for those who are struggling with a condition and trying to be more conscious about their consumer spending, we need to stick to one thing at a time. We need to respect our beautiful biology. Minimum of 28 days for a cellular cycle to happen, preferably 2 to 3 months. And that's biology for you, baby. Patience is a virtue, and that takes time. Which also brings us to the way that we use skincare. Again, when I was younger, I had this chore every single morning of waking up 2 hours before school just to pack foundation into my pores. I wasn't able to take an A period because I had to use that time covering up my blemishes. Yes, I looked like cheese with a layer of paint over it, but at least people couldn't see the true red inflamed reality that was my face. And as horrible as that was, a lot of it was me feeling the need to cover up. I felt that I was so ugly that I was taking away from other people's experience of living by just existing. And like, even saying that out loud, what a horrible existence is that? I couldn't go upstairs to eat breakfast with my parents or my little brother because I felt like I was a waste of air if they had to look at my blemished face. So I would just pack cosmetics on. And that didn't make makeup fun. Makeup was a chore that I had to do to be societally acceptable. And I don't know who taught us this, if it's companies, if it's our peers, if it's expectations or standards, but I am here as your big skincare sister to tell you, you do not owe that to society. You do not have to apologize for your experience. You are valid the way you are, and whatever you are going through, all skin conditions are human. I know they can be hard, and I know that often the voice inside of our heads is the worst critic, but I need you to know that you do not owe it to anyone to cover up. And if you choose to, then that's fine. If you choose to treat your skin, that's great, but you don't have to. And this really comes into makeup and skincare not being a chore, but a choice. You get to choose your actions. You get to choose whether or not to put on makeup or do skincare. That is a choice, and you should feel empowered by it, which is why I always say it's not a skincare routine, it's a ritual. And like the handbag you have or the car that you drive in, no one can tell what brand of moisturizer or spot treatment you're putting on your face. And that's why skincare is something that is truly for you. The brand you use, the price it is, the ingredients it has, and the way you use it in your routine is about you and no one else. You don't have to show it off to anyone, and if you can make it a ritual, please do. It's quiet time for you to love your skin. And if you're not at the point that you can love that reflection in the mirror, because I wasn't for the longest time, I actually had to tape papers up to my mirror so that I couldn't see myself and couldn't pick at my skin. Because again, hurting myself, I had issues with that. And then eventually I would start to write positive affirmations on those papers. And it sounded so dumb and I didn't believe it when they said like, you're beautiful. But if you lie to yourself 150 times and read you're beautiful out loud, eventually, but like the 105th, you might actually start to warm up to the idea. And by the 229th, maybe you'll start to actually believe it. And those are the small steps that take you farther. Remember, it is not a routine, it is a ritual. And there are many things in our lives that can be rituals, that can be self-care. For me and for most people in this community, that's skincare. For you, it could be something else. But remember that your makeup, your skincare, it shouldn't be a chore, it should be a choice. Find ways to make it that way, or find another thing that really makes you feel confident and empowered and cared for. And again, back to skincare advice. Oh boy, do I wish younger me would have listened to this one. SPF is your BFF. Use it every damn day. Sunscreen is so important, and I remember being younger and my mom would just lotion me up like a greasy turkey. It was absolutely horrible and I hated the smell. It would burn my open acne wounds, and I didn't use sunscreen for a good 8 years. And boy, do I wish I could go back, especially because that is not the best for your skin. The sun is the #1 creator of reactive oxygen species, free radicals that can damage and destroy our skin. And yes, we're talking about preventing cancer, basal cell, squamous cell carcinomas, but we're also talking about things like fine lines and wrinkles, and yes, acne scars. We're talking about preventing hyperpigmentation, stopping blemishes from turning into marks that leave over and leave a lasting reminder of what we've gone through. Sunscreen is the most important part of a skincare routine, and if you're not using it, almost everything else in your skincare routine is pretty futile. Get on the sunscreen so that your other products can actually have a chance to be effective and make a difference. And again, we live in a new era where sunscreen formulations have come such a long way. They don't have to be these greasy, pasty looking things anymore. You can find very cosmetically elegant formulas that work right for you. And as your skincare big sister, it is my commitment to help create content that helps you understand your routine, understand the importance of this, but also choose products that are right for you, especially if you're in the middle of a pandemic and shopping online. Seeing someone else try a product or use a product so that you can try to see what's going to be right for your skin. It takes a little bit of work, it takes some trial and error, but again, it should be a fun exploration, not a chore. Get your priorities straight. Get a sunscreen. There's a video here on sunscreens that I do recommend, and there's also some suggestions down below. And again, all of this goes to say the scars, the marks that are left behind, the acne, the wrinkles, the pigmentation, these things do not define you. You are worth more than what you look like. What you look like has no impact on what you can do for this world. Let's do a full stop and let's let that absorb into our skin. Let's say that again. What you look like has no impact on what you can do for this world. What you can do comes from in here and not from right here. Yet at the same time, I understand what it feels like to be that insecure teen who's just looking in the mirror, who's walking down the aisle or down the hallway and just thinks that everyone else is staring at them. And when you have those insecurities, when you crunch your shoulders in and you keep your eyes looking at your feet, it's hard to feel confident and empowered. When you're constantly worried about other people's thoughts and judgments, it's really hard to focus on how you can create positivity, beauty, and empowerment in the world around you. It's easy to get caught up in our insecurities, but when we start to peel them off, maybe leave them behind or let them go, we can actually see our potential. Be fearless. Be authentic, be brave, because that comes with empowerment and confidence. And nobody else can give that to you because that is a learned behavior. And especially when you are fighting the reflection, that is the hardest thing to do. But I promise that it is possible, because the way you impact this world, your actions have nothing to do with this. And if companies or people try to make you think that way, remember that you get to control the narration of your life. You can tell that little voice to shut up. Sometimes we need help. We are humans. Therapists, counselors, psychotherapists, they are great. And they are resources that should be tapped into. But remember that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, because that is vulnerability. Again, my experience was so horrible. I hope that nobody else would have to live through it. But I do hope that others can learn from my experiences and my mistakes and be empowered by that, so that they can harness all of their creativity and their passion and their knowledge and actually use that to leave a lasting impact on this world. Creating this channel and in everything I do, I have a promise to educate, to entertain, and to inspire. And again, I take being a skincare big sister really, really seriously, because it's a promise to you, it's a promise to myself, but it's also a promise to that younger girl, because I still remember what it feels like to be her. So whether it's ingredients or life advice, those are the things that I, as your skincare big sister, wish you could know. And if there's someone who is struggling with their skin, please give them a hug if they're willing. If they need to talk, please listen. And if they don't want to talk, please give them that space. But always let them know that you are a shoulder that they can cry on if they need to. If they need to join this community, it is here. But if they need to have their space, that is okay too. Just remember that everyone's journey is different. Everyone's exploration of skincare is different. And although it's okay to have opinions within that space, it's important to make sure that skincare is self-care, that we turn and learn those ingredients. We know that SPF is the most important step, and we know that the ingredients don't tell us anything. But we explore this, we learn together, we get empowered together. And we use that empowerment to do what we can in our everyday lives to make this world a better place. I truly mean it when I say be beautiful, both inside and out. I hope this video helped, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.